It's a wonderful Wednesday. It's I guess we're in March. I was going to say late February, but that's not true. We're in early March 2025, and I finished this audiobook maybe 4 or 5 days ago, and it's a good one. It's an audiobook. There's also a print version, which my sister bought for me for, I think, for my birthday. And what did you get me for my birthday? Actually, you can go buy Fight or Play Basketball, my book, on Audible or on print, Fight or Play Basketball. But let's get back to this Andre the Giant book. I'm going to apologize because I guess I have short-term memory issues right now. I keep looking at the authors' names, but unless I were to actually take the effort to write the authors' names down on a piece of paper and then tell them what you are, but tell you who they are. Betred, and another guy wrote this book. I listened to the audio version. Now, for me, there's at least two elements of an audio book. One is the actual content of the book. That's a priority. And the second thing is, and probably more importantly, is the audiobook narrator. I guess you could make a third case for the production, but I think most books on Audible are very well produced for the most part. This one is very clear. The audio levels are fine. And I did find that the narrator was good. I wouldn't say he was my favorite all-time narrator, but I think he had a nice enough voice to get me through this experience. I have listened to audiobooks where I have to stop just because the narrator's really bad. In fact, one pro wrestling book, the Dusty Rhodes book, the narrator is god-awful. He's doing a really bad, what he thinks is a Southern cowboy voice, and it's unlistenable. And in fact, one of my hush-hush secret goals in life is to re-record the Dusty Rhodes audiobook myself, because I find it thoroughly disgusting, the job that the audiobook guy did on the Dusty Rhodes book. Going back to this Andre the Giant book, I enjoyed it. It was a good listen. There was a lot of things, especially from the 1970s, about Andre wrestling in places like Japan. I found that to be very interesting. Andre, basically was helping out any promotion he could, of course, for a nice big paycheck, but it makes you think that Andre had to go through a lot to fly over to Japan. Just the travel. I mean, I'm a relatively big person, 6'2", but I find plane rides difficult with the seats and everything. And yes, I'm sure Andre had first class and probably got 2 seats a ride and everything, but still, the lack of comfort and having to use the facilities, if he ever had the restroom, I'm sure he did at times. I'm just, Andre did not have a comfortable life. And I think that's kind of the dual edge of that type of life for a person like Andre the Giant, or if you're thinking about guys like Manute Bol or even Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, having this enormous height is an advantage in the entertainment world, the sports world, but it comes with a price, and the price is your comfort. Hello, cool disruption boy. Hello to you. Yes, this is live times, folks. This is Wednesday afternoon, I think around 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, EDT. I'm here in Florida talking about the Andre the Giant book. I recommend it. If you're a modern wrestling fan, you've heard about Andre the Giant. Maybe you've taken the time to watch some matches he's had. You're probably aware of the WrestleMania 3 match with Hulk Hogan. I'm sure you could do a deep dive in either the WWE itself. I'm sure it has documentaries about the Hogan-Andre stuff, or I'm sure there's some YouTube stuff about everything that led up to that. I mean, that was a long-term storytelling. I mean, it goes back to when Hulk Hogan won the title from the Iron Sheik in January of '84, and Andre the Giant, and I believe Rocky Johnson and Tony Atlas were in the dressing room pouring champagne over Hogan's head to celebrate with Hogan. And I mean, Andre, was right in the mix with Hogan's title reign as kind of Hogan's go-to final boss buddy for tag team matches and stuff. And then, it turns out that they had this big angle with Bobby Heenan and Jesse Ventura and Roddy Piper. And the book goes through all of that. The book does, I think, a pretty decent or better than decent job of telling you some of Andre's career highlights. You know, you can't go into every single nuance of every single angle, but I think it does a good job of covering what needs to be covered. Also, some of the obscure stories of Andre the Giant actually losing matches to guys like Ronnie Garvin and Jerry the King Lawler in the territory days, like the early 80s, losing some matches in Japan, you know, when Andre was a rookie or a young wrestler. Who's like Strong Kabashi. I really, there's some of these matches that I've found on YouTube that I just need to sit there and watch. The problem for me, fine folks, with Japanese wrestling is I always wish that there was English commentary to go alongside of it. But 9 times out of 10, you see these Japanese matches and the matches are great. But for me, it's just an auditory thing. I need to hear a commentator discuss the match as I'm watching it. And it's hard for me to sit through a whole Japanese wrestling match without commentary. That being said, I mean, Andre the Giant's in there with Inoki and Baba and tag team matches. I didn't know this, or I forgot that apparently Andre the Giant lost a match via submission to an armbar, I believe, to Antonio Inoki in late 86, early 87. It was the semifinals of a tournament, and apparently Andre was wrapping up his Japanese tours because Vince McMahon Jr. was really putting a stranglehold on Andre and only wanted Andre to work for him in the WWF at the time, with very few exceptions. And one of the few exceptions was Andre basically putting over Inoki in Japan via submission, which is kind of, I mean, I have to look up for that footage because it's just shocking because, you know, as a child, I never would have thought that Andre the Giant would actually submit in a match. But he did it out of respect to Inoki and all the wonderful things that Inoki did for him as a promoter in Japan. So they talk about a shoot fight. I believe I've watched this at one point. Actually, I don't know. I remember a John Tenta shoot fight in Japan. I need to see if I've seen the Andre one with Maeda, I believe is the gentleman's name. So Andre the Giant got himself into a shoot in Japan with a guy named Maeda. I need to watch that again, or if I don't know if I've ever watched it. So a lot of cool stories, like, and also the print version does have the photographs. So in case you're wondering, well, what's better, audiobook or print book? I mean, I think either way, the sacrifice with the audiobook is you're not going to get these printed photos. I mean, it'd be kind of nice if they attached a PDF of the photographs that you get in the print version, but you don't get that. So, I mean, it's, if you're going to listen to it, it's one thing. If you have the print version, you have all these wonderful photographs to kind of go along with the storytelling. They do talk about some of the things that are not so pleasant with Andre. For the hardcore wrestling fans, you've probably heard of some, you know, allegations from Bad News Brown about some racist stuff. And, you know, it seems like Andre was not a perfect human being, obviously. And it seemed like he kind of apologized to Bad News Brown, although he did end up quite literally shitting on the guy by error, I hope. But basically, you know, Andre was not perfect. And it seemed like he was a guy in perpetual pain and agony, especially the later years of his life. And sometimes he took that out on other people. And they weren't always, you know, it wasn't always a fair and noble giant. You know what I mean? Thank you for the hearts, who's ever giving the hearts, if that's Cool Disruption Boy or somebody else. You're welcome to comment. If you have any questions or any Andre stories or any thoughts on Andre, go ahead and comment. I'll accept your comment and so forth. But overall, I mean, of the audio books that I've listened to, this one was very enjoyable. Hello, big boy Nathan. Nice to see you here. I'm not sure if you've commented before, or if you've ever seen me before. I do have a lot of pro wrestling stuff on this channel, big boy. My wonderful interviews with Bob Backlund, Brian Pillman Jr., Ox Baker, Sandman, Chris and the Coffee Girl, the Philadelphia Experience with ECW's Raven is quite legendary. I also have another channel, One Mike Messier, which has Disregard the Vampire, Mike Messier documentary, and all of my wonderful films, Blood Sugar Sedace, The Impeccable, and so forth. And I fancy myself an artisan. I do make art, okay? So that's always wonderful and exciting. But yes, this book, here's one of my better pieces. I think my wonderful cat and so forth. And here's a promotional piece. So thank you, big boy Nathan. I appreciate it, buddy. I do have a pretty good, I call it the USA Beach Hero design, which looks like Hulk Hogan, but it's not officially licensed. That is available, however, on t-shirts and stuff on MikeMessier.com backslash shop for the Hulk Hogan-esque design. And also my audiobook, Gentleman, Nathan, and Cool Disruption Boy. You can actually listen to it for free on the Hoopla app. If you're not familiar with Hoopla, it's a wonderful app that if you have a library card anywhere in the continental United States, you can get this wonderful app called Hoopla, and you can listen to my audiobook for free and a bunch of videos and movies you can watch for free. A lot of stuff from the 90s and the 80s are on there. Going back to this audiobook, if you're a pro wrestling fan, even a marginal fan, I would say that the Andre the Giant book is really good. They do get into the Princess Bride. Andre was very proud of that. That's one of my pieces of art that's on a postcard. Very exciting. And I just think it's a really cool book. I mean, I think with an audiobook, you can kind of measure its worth by how fast you listen to it. I mean, I have audiobooks that I've started years ago that are just kind of like stuck because either the narrator annoys me or the content is not that riveting, or thank you, Nathan Boy, appreciate your comments. But there's audiobooks that I've started and I can't get through. The Case for Christ by Lee Sobel, I think is his name. I've been trying to get through that one, but his voice, it just has a certain irritation level to it. Like he just sounds like this guy who's trying to be insightful or whatever. So I mean, they're just books that are hard for me to get through, but this Andre book, I really tore through it. And a lot of the material towards the end of Andre's life, I knew because they kind of get into a year-by-year breakdown of his career when he's feuding with Bobby the Brain Heenan's family with the haircut match, and then kind of segueing into turning heel against Hogan and those years. And apparently Andre was upset that he was not involved in the main event of SummerSlam 89 because that's when they had Zeus and Macho Man Savage, and Andre felt that he should have been in that main event somewhere. So I'm not sure what spot he thought he would have taken. I guess he thought he should have teamed up with Macho Man against Hogan and Beefcake, but I guess Andre didn't realize the whole point of that match was to put over Zeus, or to get Zeus over from the movie to promote No Holds Barred, which Andre was not in. And maybe Andre, it's speculated, felt he was left out of the No Holds Barred movie. So Andre was a complex guy, and I think that Andre passed away before he hit the age of 50, which is pretty sad. But I just thought it was a cool book. I mean, I did listen to it. I've listened to other wrestling audiobooks. I did a review somewhere, either on this, I think on this channel, about the John Moxley audiobook, which I actually enjoyed quite a bit. I did, I think I reviewed the Ric Flair book. The Ric Flair, there's an audiobook, I think it's called The Last Real World Champion or something like that, about Ric Flair's NWA World Title reigns, and I really liked that one a lot too. There's really kind of an interesting audiobook that I like, which is the fake Paul McCartney, or the dead Paul McCartney book, The Fall, F-A-U-L, if you follow that stuff. I've listened to that one. Big Boy Nathan saying, yeah, that's it. I think you're talking about the Ric Flair book. Yeah, so I mean, I like audiobooks, and that's why, not to talk about myself all fucking day, but I'll say, when I had my Fight or Play Basketball novel written, I wanted to record the audiobook myself, because I have more respect for audiobooks that are read by the writer, as far as the writer being the narrator. I kind of respect that, and I feel it's more of a connection because the words are pronounced, everything is the way it should be pronounced. Now, the caveat to that is like this Lee Sobel guy, The Case for Christ, I don't think he's a very good narrator. I mean, the guy can talk, but I just don't, his voice kind of ingrates on me, if that's how you say that sentence. So, I try to do a good job with Fight or Play Basketball recording the audiobook. I did enlist a woman, to record the female voices because I didn't want it to be a slapstick show where I'm trying to do female voices for 2 hours. You know what I mean? In any regard, that's my story, quite literally. As far as Andre goes, I'm putting this book over. I'm saying that it's a good listen. I'm saying if you're a wrestling fan, even a casual wrestling fan, perhaps even, I mean, I don't know if I would say, for instance, people like my sister, or I have other friends that are aware of wrestling and they kind of indulge in it for my sake a little bit, but they're not really fans. I don't know if there's enough meat on the bone to get them through the whole Andre the Giant audiobook. You know what I mean? Like if you know someone who just is into pop culture on a very broad spectrum, but they don't particularly like pro wrestling, but they know who Andre is, or they know the Andre the Giant has a posse with the bumper stickers and stuff. I don't even think that type of person would like this book. I think they would probably tap out pretty early. I think you'd actually have to be a pro wrestling fan, at least a casual fan, or at least a lapsed fan, like a fan who watched during Andre's eras, the 70s, the 80s, and 90s, to enjoy the book. But that being said, I am a wrestling fan. I'm wearing an NWO shirt. I just got a nice compliment from a guy coming out of the gym here. I'm wearing this is actually an Ultimate Warrior stuff gimmick, headband. I've been wearing these turbans, or whatever, American turban I call them, or whatever the fucks. They're basically to kind of give my head a better shape. And also, I have this long hair. I never had long hair in my life until the last couple of years. And these things basically keep my hair out of my eyes. I'm living with this dog now, literally a dog, a four-legged friend. And the dog needs like constant trimming around his eyes because his hair just gets in his eyes and then he can't see. And we're starting to wonder if this dog doesn't have the best sense of smell, because I'll throw like his toys out in the backyard and the dog just kind of like, he goes running in that general direction, but he doesn't instinctively go to the fucking bone or the or the rope or whatever it is. It's like, does this dog have an impediment? Like, is this dog not a good smeller? Does he not see properly? What's wrong with our dog? So the person who, not me, but the other person basically trims the dog's eyes and so forth, or around the eye, not the eye, but around the hair follicles. So that's it, big boy Nathan and the other gentleman, Cool Disruption Boy. I thank you both for checking in. This is your pal, Mike Messier. If you happen to get this randomly on, here we are on YouTube. If you're not a subscriber, I've got pro wrestling stuff you're not going to see anywhere else. I've got clips from NXT shows, actually a lot of still photography from NXT shows. I just released on eBay, the Foreign Object eBay store, a photograph set, Women's Wrestlers of Florida, on the Foreign Object eBay store. But I've got NXT clips. I've got a lot of AEW clips from the pandemic era. I put an NWA pay-per-view, Tough Enough, or whatever it was, or NWA Enough Said. I have some really good little videos from there. The long form stuff, the Oxbaker interview is classic. The Bob Oxbaker was a great friend of mine. The Bob Backlund interview, the Brian Pillman Jr. interview, Maria Kanellis, the WWE Diva of the Year, I think from 2009. She's floating around here somewhere. And I've got a lot of like podcast stuff. Me and my buddy Nikita Breznikov, who wrote a book about wrestling from the 80s, when it was real. We did a 2-hour podcast a few weeks ago. So I've got a lot of cool stuff going on, and that's it. So if you guys have any further comments or questions or topics, I do have a lot of pro wrestling rants, and a good one from about maybe 6 or 8 months ago, or maybe a year ago, was pro wrestlers that did not make the cut for the WrestleMania 1 card. And it was a really good video because I had graphics and stuff, and I basically broke down guys like the British Bulldogs, the Killer Bees, Bret Hart, Jim Neidhart, Don Morocco, and other wrestlers that were around the WWF in 1985 that for some, please do, Nathan, write out your question. I'll keep babbling until we get the question. But basically in this video, wrestlers that could have appeared at WrestleMania 1 but didn't make it, or whatever it was called, I analyzed and I gave my speculation why certain wrestlers did not make it on the show. And that was one of my better videos. So I'm waiting for Nathan's question here. and hopefully he'll get it in a timely fashion. So what else is going on with me? I've been, I like to go to this gym. I did exert myself a little too much a few weeks ago, and my back's been kind of screwed up, so I've been, favoring myself, and that's always a quandary, when with exercise, when you're trying, what do I do for a living? Okay, that's a fair enough question. I mean, I would basically say, buddy, I am a full-time Mike Messier. I basically, celebrate my art, as you've seen. I have the novel out. I also created and run 3 film festivals, and I have somewhere, that's my propaganda for the art and for the book. The 3 film festivals that I run are Avalonia Festival of Short Films, etc., All Comedy Short Film Festival, and All Horror Short Film Festival. So I run those 3 film festivals. I make and sell art, and I write books, and I'm a Screen Actors Guild AFTRA actor. Thanks, Infinite, the Infinite One, TMH. Yeah, man, I'll be honest with you, another thing that I do, guys, is I've been buying all these NWO shirts, and, to be quite frank with you, Frank, I've been getting them from good old Temu. They're really cheap, and I've discovered I typically take a 3X shirt. I buy these in 4X because, Temu, you're not really sure what country these shirts are being made from, and the people that make them, I look like Pickles' gay neighbor. Well, okay. Thanks, Pickles. How do you know that he's gay? I mean, how would you know if he's, maybe he told you. But in any event, the Temu has the wonderful NWO shirts. They're usually pretty priced well. I've had a few Temu package opening videos, and the thing with Temu is, what I've learned is certain things are quite good to buy there, namely canvases, art canvases, and also t-shirts. If you basically go up a few sizes, here's some more art, gentlemen. You have to buy bigger sizes on Temu. The gentleman was asking what I do for a living. Well, there's more art, buddy. I'm just making art left and right. Look at all these wonderful things. I paint them. These are all handmade originals. See? That's the actual canvas, buddy. That's acrylic art. That's wonderful art that I create. I'm going off to create more art today, actually. That's one of my early pieces. I do have the nice Hogan one somewhere. You almost died 10 times. Gee whiz. I actually do wrestling, and I'm going to 7 different wrestling companies, 4 p.m., which I'm competing in. Well, that's pretty cool, man. You're welcome to write down what promotion you're working for, or if this is your wrestler's name, the Infinite TMH. I'm curious about that. It's very exciting. I would just, I wrestled a few matches going way back when. I did not get proper training, so my whatever unsolicited advice is just, I hope that whatever stage you're in, you're getting good trainers, or you're learning on the job, as they used to do back in the good old days. I always recommend Booker T. Huffman's school, Booker T School in Houston, Texas. I actually called the school once, and I actually started a nice conversation with Charmel. And, well, the Infinite, if you write down, I guess I'm assuming, but I don't want to assume, if your matches are on your YouTube channel, if that's TMH the Infinite, I will go to that, and I'll watch a couple of your matches if you want, and I'll tell you what I think. So yeah, go for it, man. I'm curious what part of the world you're wrestling out of, if it's in the USA or some other country. I almost drowned in the 12-foot pool. That's pretty scary, buddy. But these are wonderful art pieces by me. Like I said, one Pro Wrestling and Sports Fan YouTube channel is this channel. And then if you want to see my Mike's Instant Movie Reviews, you can go over to One Mike Messier on YouTube. And I would also say, that I'm kind of segueing more into Instagram and TikTok these days on one Mike Messier. NWO for life, exactly, Golf Franchise. And Golf Franchise has been a very good supporter of this channel. And Golf, you should know that on TikTok and Instagram, I'm becoming more relevant on there as one Mike Messier, and also I guess on X. I'm doing more stuff there because YouTube has come crashing down on my channels, quite basically. They got rid of a couple of my better channels, and I'm upset about it. Oh, Pickles, you did not see me on that show, Pickles. You most certainly did not. Pickles is being very rude and insulting today, Pickles. Bad Pickles. Thank you, Golf Franchise. I appreciate that. What else? So, yeah, so that's it, gentlemen. I mean, if you missed the beginning of this video, Golf Franchise, you can go back to the beginning. And like I said, Golf Franchise, I think, was there when I was talking to Nikita Breznikov about his book, When It Was Real. I was also on the Dan and Benny show last night on the Monty and the Pharaoh YouTube channel. We were discussing the 6th season upcoming of Dark Side of the Ring, and our thoughts and analysis and what we're looking forward to on the episodes. Can I tell you a painful story? Oh boy. Let's go for it, man. Well, thank you, Pickles. I appreciate that. Yeah, big boy, let's, jeez. Very good, Pickles. Okay. Pickles is enjoying him or herself. Let's hear the painful story, big boy Nathan, because now I'm intrigued. Pickles is having fun. Big boy Nathan is getting very personal, but I mean, hearing these things, let's hear what's going on here with this painful story. And I think Golf Franchise is kind of just soaking it all in. I will be seeing tonight, gentlemen, at least this is the plan, Prince and the Revolution, Purple Rain. Yes, the original, 1984, I believe. And I saw this thing on the big screen just about a year and a half ago. But this is happening a lot, and I can tell you why. Because these reprise movies, for instance, they're showing the Hunger Games, the original Hunger Games with that actress lady, Jennifer, whatever her name is. They're showing them all next week, 4 nights in a row. They've been showing the Harry Potter movies again. I caught the beginning of that Dark Side discussion. Y'all were talking about Mankind and Undertaker's Hell in a Cell match. Yeah, and that was really, I think the consensus last night, Golf, was that that's the episode none of us are really looking forward to, because we've seen it, we've heard it, we've heard the story of Mick Foley talking about that goddamn Hell in a Cell match over and over again. I saw Mick Foley twice actually perform stand-up comedy. And yeah, I mean, he's a good performer, and I like Mick Foley, but he's kind of, in a sense, been resting on his laurels for a long time. And he just talks about that Hell in a Cell match forever. And the only thing that I was saying could be interesting for this new Dark Side of the Ring about the Hell in a Cell is, has Foley heard that he's got like damage specifically from that match? Did he have a concussion from that match that's now creeping up on him, etc.? Or the thing with the tooth. I mean, what are we going to hear about that Hell in the Cell that we haven't heard before? I'm about to wrap things up, gentlemen. I've got to get some food in me. I caught the beginning. Yep, okay. Big Boy says, one time when I was 5 years old, I was skating around the house really fast, and I fell over and I hit my eyebrow in the tip of the table. Well, that's pretty sad. That's a sad one. So I'm assuming that was roller skating. And okay, is there more to this story? Because I'm assuming there was some bloodshed, or I hope you didn't affect your vision for the rest of your life. 5 years old, that's pretty young to take a bump like that. That's rough. That's no fun. Oh, you hit your eyebrow. Yes, it was an eyebrow. It was an eyebrow, not an elbow. Yeah, that could probably, I mean, in a sense, I don't know if there's more to the story than that, but you haven't mentioned there was any public damage. Yep, I'm going to watch Purple Rain tonight on the big screen, Dolby Digital, AMC Theaters, buddy, here in Jacksonville. I put Jacksonville over because Jacksonville is really a great city for movie theaters. Jesse, Nanette Jerome, yes. That's Morris Day and the time. I was going to say the elephant. It was actually the bird and Jungle Love and the time are one of my. I was going to say that I don't like that term, guilty pleasures. It's not a guilty pleasure at all. I like the time, the pandemonium. That's a tough word to say. Pandemonium album. That's a great song. The Skillet. Yeah, Ice Cream Castles. Chili Sauce. Morris Day and the Time. That's a band that I've never seen live, and occasionally you'll see them doing a show. I don't know if it's the original lineup. I assume it's still Morris Day. But in any regard, folks, I appreciate you guys chilling out with me for half an hour as we're discussing these wonderful things. Going back to the original topic at hand, the audiobook Andre the Giant. It's actually titled The Eighth Wonder of the World, The True Story of Andre the Giant, by Bertrand something or other and the other guy. It's very good. So I do give it a high recommendation. If you had to say a scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably give it a 9. But yes, I'm go purify myself in the St. John's instead of Lake Minnetonka. Yes. And is it Apollonia or Vanity? I think it's Apollonia that's in Purple Rain. Because, I mean, you got to give Prince credit. I mean, he did, attract some very attractive women. I mean, of all of them, I would probably go with Sheena Easton, but he did have a very good track record, even with Mate towards the end. That's it, folks. Very good. I will talk to you guys soon. There was blood gushing out of my eyebrow. It's a very traumatic story, buddy. Not to laugh. It's traumatic. And I hope that, this was when you were 5, so quite some time ago. I hope you didn't suffer permanent eye damage. But it sounds like a pretty scary day in the life of big boy Nathan when he was not such a big boy yet. So hopefully it reminds me of when I was, 15 or 16 years old. I was at a little gathering of the friends, party as it were, and some guy came over and he pulled his fucking eye out of his head. And this kid was a couple of years older than us, and he basically told us that when he went hunting and he pulled his brother accidentally shot his eye out when they were hunting, and now the kid had a glass eye, and his party trick was to pull his fucking eye out of his head and tell us the story. And it's kind of one of those things like, wow, that's pretty interesting. So it's kind of like, who would you rather be in that case scenario? Would you rather be the brother who got his eye shot out, or would you rather be the brother who shot your brother's eye out and live with the guilt? That's kind of a tough choice. I think we all say that we would rather be the guy who got his eye, we'd rather be the brother who got his eye shut out. But deep down, we probably all would rather be the brother that shot the eye out and live with the guilt. You know what I mean? Because you're living with the guilt, but at least you still have 2 eyes. Okay, that's enough. Yes, I'm still buying the head things, buddy. They're still working for me. I have about 30 of them now. All right, see you later, guys. Thanks.